Good morning, students. Our today's topic is the bioremediation of heavy metals, the third part of our ongoing topic. So before going in detail of this topic, we will have a little bit knowledge on the heavy metals. How we define the heavy metals? Generally, the metal with the density of at least 5 gram per centimeter cube are termed as the heavy metals, and the others are known as the light metals. So these heavy metals are the natural constituent of our environment. Some of these heavy metals are required by the plants in very small amount for their normal growth and optimum performance. They may be toxic at low concentration and may also prove carcinogenic and mutagenic in nature. So there are several heavy metals known to us. These are cadmium, zinc, nickel, lead, mercury, arsenic, etc. So their continuous increase in our environment is posing severe problem to our environment, and there have been constant effort to remove these from our environment using several physical, chemical and biological methodologies. Okay, so what are the sources of heavy metal in our environment? So both natural as well as the anthropogenic sources are there. Most significant of the natural sources are the pedogenetic processes, which involve the weathering of rocks and the volcanic activities. And the anthropogenic sources are the result of the human activities, which involve the indiscriminate use of pesticides and fertilizer in agriculture, some metal processing industries, medical wastes, and the burning of the fuel in our vehicles. So there are several techniques to remove these heavy metal from the environment. So these are physical, chemical and the biological methods, which are generally used to treat the industrial effluent containing the heavy metals. So generally these physico-chemical techniques involves the chemical precipitation, filtration, reverse osmosis or electrochemical treatment. And most of these techniques are the energy intensive. Okay, and moreover there are certain limitation of these physico-chemical methods. These techniques become ineffective when the concentration of the heavy metal is very low in the environment. Generally it is if it is below 1 to 100 mg per liter, or when these heavy metals are present in dissolved state, these cannot be removed using the physical methods. So what should be the alternative of these methods? Plants or microbes could be the possible solution to this heavy metal pollution. Okay, why? Because these include the sustainable remediation of the environment, and can also help us to re-establish the natural condition of the soil. Okay, so these microorganisms, generally इस lecture में we will take up the microorganisms, not the plants. Plants will be covered in the phytoremediation part. So microorganisms are known to develop and adopt different detoxifying mechanism, okay, such as bioabsorption, bioaccumulation, biotransformation, and bioleaching. These can be exploited as ex situ bioremediation strategies. So which strategy could be used by the microorganism for the bioremediation of heavy metal? It depends upon the metabolic state of the microorganism and the availability of the metal ion in the environment. So microbes can uptake the heavy metals passively or the actively. We will study this mechanism in next slides. But heavy metal cannot be destroyed. This cannot be destroyed by the microbes completely, but can be transformed from highly toxic form to less toxic form. Okay, or these may be converted into volatilized form, or their property can be changed. These may become more water soluble, so that by leaching these can go away with the water from the site of the contamination, or if these remain less water soluble, these get precipitated. So whatever the action taken by these bacteria or the microbes, ultimately it result in the degradation of the heavy metal in the environment. So we will start with the bioabsorption process, and among four process, it is the more feasible than the three processes. Up in bioabsorption, we have to understand the two terms. One is the biosorbent and the sorbate. So these are the two terms. Biosorbent, these are the microorganisms which are used in the remediation process, and the sorbate is the metal ion which we would like to remove from the environment. So basic principle of bioabsorption is the affinity of these microorganism toward the metal ion. So bioabsorption, it can be passive or it can be active. So passive is also known as metabolism independent bioabsorption. Okay, because this does not require any energy for decontaminating the environment. Okay, and it is this bioabsorption is the property of certain type of inactive microbial biomass to bind and concentrate the heavy metals from even dilute aqueous solution, okay, where our physical methods are not applicable. So for this phenomena of bioabsorption, cell wall structure is very much responsible. Okay, so how it is responsible? Because the cell wall generally contain very polymeric compounds like the polysaccharides, lipids and proteins, which have functional groups. Okay, those functional group can bind with the heavy metal ion. Okay, so this process is without involving energy. So this is the structure of the cell wall, and these are the functional groups present on the polymeric compounds. So these interact with the heavy metal, and by the process of either precipitation, ion exchange or complexation, the metal ions, they get uh, deactivated. Okay, so this is the passive bioabsorption. So it has several advantages: low cost, highly efficient process, minimization of biological and chemical sludge, no requirement of nutrition, and more important is the regeneration of biosorbent and the metal recovery. So once the metal get adsorbed on the biomass, microbial biomass, that metal can be recovered by the process of desorption, and desorption result in the separation of the microbe from the metal. So these can be reused again, and metal can be used in the industries. So there are the example of the yeast and the fungi, which act as the biosorbent for the removal of zinc and the cadmium, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, and for lead contaminated soil, Aspergillus parasitica and Cephalosporium putida can be used. So this is the way how the water can be cleaned by this process. So in first diagram you will see that the bioabsorption process is going on. These are the metal bearing feed. Okay, see, this is the mass, microbial mass. So when contaminated water passes through this, the metals, they get binds over the cell wall surface, and the metal free effluent, it comes out. And now this part can be used for the desorption process. So under desorption process, this whole metal get recovered, okay, from the microbial biomass and can be used. Okay, so this is the bioabsorption, passive bioabsorption process. Next is the bioaccumulation or the active bioabsorption. So it is opposite to the passive bioabsorption because it is carried out by the activity of the living microbes, unlike the dead or inactive of the passive bioabsorption. Here the intracellular sequestration of metal ion take place using the cellular energy. So because this bioaccumulation or sequestration, it require the energy, so the microbe should be living, and it is also known as metabolism dependent process. So there are several steps of this process. First, the metal ion, they interact with the surface ligands. So surface ligands are again the functional groups which interact with the metal ion and form metal surface complex, and a complex is formed. And further, using some transporter proteins and using the energy of ATP, these complex then transport inside the cell. Inside the cell, when they enter into the, when these complex is present inside the cell in the cytoplasm, it further interact with the metal binding proteins, which are known as PC, phytogelatin and metallothionein. Okay, so phytogelatin, these are the thiol containing low molecular weight protein, and these are the marker, and these act as the marker during the stress condition, whether plant is under salinity stress or some other kind of stress. So these are the indicator. Similarly, metallothionein are also the low molecular weight proteins. Okay. So when these metal ion interact with these metal binding protein, these undergo precipitation, methylation or other processes, and ultimately get sequestered, get accumulated in the vacuoles. So no harm is made to the microbes. So here you can see both type of metabolic and non-metabolic uh, dependent processes. So metabolism dependent process, which is the active bioaccumulation, so it is the passive. Here you can see the electrostatic precipitation at the surface or complex formation. Okay, then ion exchange. So this all process occur at the surface extracellularly. Here you will see, after binding with the some ligands or with some these metal ions, enter into the cell. So here there are present some low molecular weight proteins like PC, MT or some other proteins, which interact with these complex and ultimately lead to the precipitation. Okay, if so same kind of process accumulation can be carried out in the eukaryotic cell, that we can see in the plant cells. So these are the some examples. So the cadmium tolerant Pseudomonas putida strain possess the ability of intracellular sequestration of copper, cadmium and the zinc ion. So these metal ion sequester with the help of cysteine rich low molecular weight proteins inside the cell, like PC and MT जो हमने पीछे पढ़ा है. Similarly, glutathione, these help in the bioaccumulation of the cadmium ion in the Rhizobium leguminosarum cells. And next process is the biotransformation. So biotransformation is the process of the conversion of the toxic metal state of the heavy metal into the less toxic form. Okay, so when the foam oxidation state gets changed, the metal ion, they get precipitated. When their valency get changed, their oxidation state get changed, they get precipitated. And once they get precipitated, because they are now less soluble in water, they become immobilized, and this process is enzyme catalyzed transformation. So basically in this process, the microorganisms, they serve as the uh, reducing power as well as the oxidizing power. Okay, for example, a bacterial species, Geobacter species, it can transform the highly soluble uranium state, this is the oxidation state is 6, to its highly insoluble state, uranium 4, through the enzymatic reduction. Okay, so biotransformation is carried out by the redox reactions. So here what happen, metals in oxidized state, if metal is in oxidized state, it could serve as the terminal acceptor of electron, okay, during the anaerobic respiration of bacteria. So here we can see that it is the metal reducing bacteria. Okay, it is the metal reducing, and here is the oxidizing bacteria. So what happen, this bacteria reduces this iron, oxidized state of iron, into the reduced form. It gets oxidized itself, and it iron get reduced. Further, the other metal oxidizing bacteria here, that oxidize this iron back to the this form, and simultaneously this soluble form of chromium get reduced to the insoluble form. So this whole process is redox reaction and catalyzed by the enzymes. Okay, so in this way the precipitation of the metal carried out, and the metal get converted into less toxic form. And the last is the bioleaching. So bioleaching is the conversion of the metal into the soluble form. Okay, and these microorganisms generally produce some metal leaching organic acids, and the most commonly used bacterial strains are the Thiobacillus species. So these Thiobacillus species, they produce sulfuric acid which can form the metal chelate. Okay, and many other microorganisms generally produce siderophores. So siderophores, these are the iron chelating substances which enhance the mobility and reduce the bioavailability of the metals in the soil, and ultimately lead to the subsequent removal from the soil. Okay, similarly Pseudomonas aeruginosa is used for the bioleaching of these copper and zinc from their ores. So with further advancement of the recombinant DNA technology, it has made possible to engineer the bacteria for the removal of heavy metal like copper, zinc, lead, cadmium and nickel. So these are the genetically engineered microbes. We call them as gems or the superbugs. Okay, so by this genetic engineering technique, the metabolic pathways are modified which enable these bacteria to convert the toxic type heavy metal into the less toxic type. So there are two examples I have given. The Deinococcus geothermae was engineered using the MER gene. Basically it is the MER-A gene from E. coli, and it then assumes the property of the mercury reduction. Similarly, the Toad and Xyl gene were transferred from Pseudomonas putida into the Deinococcus radiodurans, and which acquire the capability of the lead degradation. So with this our bioremediation part is complete. So it is a very clean technique for reducing the contaminant from our environment naturally, and by developing an understanding of microbial communities and their response to the natural environment and pollutants, expanding the knowledge of the genetics of the microbes to increase capability to degrade pollutants, conducting field trials which are cost effective, and dedicating sites which are set aside for long-term research purposes. These bioremediating processes provide opportunity for the significant advances in the biodegradation processes. Okay, thank you.